Shalom, me homies. Today and every day, I believe, is a good day to let your heart break. Because when you let it break, it opens up, it expands, it gives you a greater capacity to hold the light of God and to let it shine forth through the cracks that have been created through the brokenness. It's kind of like that Japanese art, Kintsugi, where you take liquid gold, you melt down gold, and you pour it into the cracks of a broken vessel. That's Kintsugi. That's what God does with our hearts. When we surrender and allow our hearts to break, God comes and he puts our hearts back together, and he makes our hearts even more beautiful and useful for his purposes, her purposes, its purposes, Great Spirit's purposes. When we fight that in fear, when we are afraid to break, when we want to be in control, what we will experience is a tightness, a hardness. And if we continue in that direction and we fight against the surrender that is necessary to let one's heart break and expand, if we fight that and we fight it long enough and hard enough, what happens is we become hardened and calloused, and we lose touch with God and with divinity and with even our humanity. And I was experiencing last week very strongly that fight that's always raging within us, the fight between lightness and dark, good and evil. That is the spiritual war that we are all embroiled in as children of God, right? And I was being carried away by the fear that this world instills in us on purpose in order to control us and try to steal our light and try to take us away from God. Okay, it's fear that is our enemy. Fear is the opposite of love, and love is God. And I was experiencing physiologically this feeling of like my heart, I could feel it getting smaller. And I had this and harder. And I had this vision of like my heart becoming a steel marble that was just rolling around in my chest in this like shallow copper basin. Very much like a robot, you know? And how fitting, like, look at the world around us. We're surrounded by, not surrounded by, but they exist, these humanoid robot things that are mimicking God's creation. That's what the creation of that has come about as a result of men, the children of God, not allowing their hearts to break, not leaning into surrender and letting go, but rather going the direction of fear and control and tightening down, right? Leaning more into the mind and the brain and the limited understanding, and forgetting about the expansive heart. We shouldn't let go of the mind and the brain altogether. God has given us a brain for a reason. But it should be the servants of this, just as we should be the servants of God. And God talks to us through our hearts. And God is everything, the ultimate expansion. And so in order to become more godly, we must continually allow our hearts to break open and expand and get bigger. So today and every day is the perfect day to let your heart break.